Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, big day of racing at Indiana Grand on Saturday. The highlight, race number 9. $500,000 is the purse for the Grade 3 Indiana Derby for 3-year-olds. Let's take a look at the field. They're going to travel 1 1/16 miles. Our coverage presented by the Indiana Horse Racing Commission. IRAP wheels back on relatively short notice, 3 weeks after gutting it out in the Grade 3 Ohio Derby.
I guess strike while the iron's hot. This horse is in career form. You and I have never been fans of this horse, but let's call a spade a spade. He has won 2 graded stakes races in his last 3 starts, and the one he didn't win happened to be the Kentucky Derby.
And while we're not fans of his, he's the horse to beat in here. He has a versatile running style. He has the figs. You throw out the Derby, 98 in the Ohio Derby, 93 in the Bluegrass. Distance isn't going to be a problem for him. It's just that he's 8-5 on the line, and the lower you get with a horse like IRAP, a horse that's not trustworthy with his lead changes in the stretch, not trustworthy, I think, with his overall body of work, you have to try to at least look somewhere else.
I mean, he's IRAP still.
Right.
You know, and that's not, I'm not saying that being just a jerk, but I'm just, you know, he's still IRAP. He shouldn't be 8-5 in an 11-horse field where he has the advantage fig-wise, but it's not like he's just head and shoulders above everyone else. He is the horse to beat, though.
Oh, no, he's the horse to beat, there's no doubt. If not IRAP, then who? That's really the question of this race, and I guess we'll just take it in post-position order. I mean, Society Beau ran 3rd last time out in the Matt Wynn Stakes. He is taking incremental moves forward for trainer Neil Howard, but the fact remains that he has a lot more seconds than firsts, and he's got to improve from a fig standpoint. He's the kind of horse that needs pace. He might get it in here.
Yeah, he might get the pace in here. I've always been a little bit intrigued with him. My biggest concern, particularly before the Matt Wynn, was he's just not fast enough. Now, my question for you is, did he really jump forward 10 points, or was that more a McCracken speed figure kind of situation?
I think that's certainly a fair question after 12 starts.
Yeah.
Where his first 11 starts, the best he could do was a 78, and all of a sudden he just jumped up, and he was never winning that race. No. He ran well, but he was never winning. You have to question that Beyer's speed figure just a little bit. Wild Shot is the number 3, and I had hoped that Wild Shot broke through in the Pat Day Mile 2 starts back. I was very visually impressed. Yes, it was a wet racetrack, but he popped a big Beyer, and I was expecting something from him in the Woody Stevens last time out, and he was chasing a fast pace, but he shouldn't have tired that badly. I think he's more like the horse that Rusty sent here to the Indiana Derby last year, the horse we thought, well, he's kind of a sprinter, they've been running him 2 turns, he's more of a 1-turn horse. Well, Wild Shot's stretching out again.
Yeah,
Star Hill, and
I tried him in the eventual turn back in the King's Bishop, and he was terrible that day too. I agree with you. I think he's more 1 turn than 2 turns. Now, he's basically the opposite of IRAP. 2 of his past 3 starts have been just complete disasters in graded stakes races with a win sandwiched in there. His Pat Day was too good to think that it was just a mirage. I mean, he really, really ran that field off their feet. His last 2 races, other than that, have been god-awful. I don't want to take him at a middling price.
Yeah, right now you just upgrade him if the track is wet. I think he's a solid horse. I think there's something for him, but off that last race, that was just too disappointing for me. I want to throw up the Timeform US pace projector real quick because we are expecting a relatively fast pace in the Indiana Derby. We're thinking that the number 3 Wild Shot, stretching out, chasing fast fractions last time out, he's going to make the top. The number 8 Awesome Saturday was a very lightly raced horse, never off the board from 5 starts. He could be chasing in 2nd. I like the upside from Awesome Saturday. I like the fact that he's relatively unexposed.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you go back and watch that most recent start. He really handled Watch Me Whip, who was trying to come from off of it. But the more sort of interesting thing watching that replay, coming down the backside, there was about a 50-1 shot that was out there on the front end, well clear of this horse, Awesome Saturday. And all of a sudden, it was as if he said, no, we're going now, and he's throwing his head about. And Brian Hernandez had his hands full. He got him to finally relax, but he finished really well. I wonder if he's the wise guy horse and everybody and their brothers says, oh, he's the one, he's the one. He goes off at something like 9-2.
Well, that's a fair point. I have a feeling he might take some money. Han Sense, the 6, might be a little bit closer than where the pace projector has him, because this is going to be his 2nd start back from Dubai. He's stretching all the way out from 6 furlongs, and he showed a glimmer of route tactical speed in the past. He was 2nd in his return from the UAE, but you know, he got beat by a field by an Iowa bred last time. This is a big step up, and we we love Michael Maker.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is not a knock against the connections. This horse is just woefully slow on paper right now. He needs to improve by leaps and bounds to even have a sniff.
Formulator fact for a big long shot. That's the 4 Brockton George for trainer Kenny McPeak. Very limited positive data. Turf to dirt maiden last out winners, banging out 50% from 4 starters, but with a big return on investment. It's not like Brockton George was embarrassed in his career debut on the dirt. They switched him to turf. He really seemed to appreciate that distance. He sold for $280,000 as a yearling. I think he has potential, but I do wonder if it's a little too much too soon.
Yeah, this is certainly a confident move, we'll call it that. But like you say, that career debut, resiliency is a decent enough horse. The horse he beat, who ran 3rd in there, Arklow, we know what he's turned into. I think this is a fine enough horse. This is just a really ambitious placement.
Top Credentials is a little bit of a long shot. 3rd last time out in the non-winners of 2 Life. He has to improve. I think Watch Me Whip, though, the 11 is a little bit interesting. Debut winner going 7 furlongs. A little bit disappointed with his performance in the Sir Barton, although he did have a little bit of trouble. And last time out, a solid enough effort. After watching him run now 3 times, I wonder, and I could be wrong, and it might be way too early to make this statement, I wonder if we're looking at a late-running sprinter.
Entirely possible. You know, I liked him in the Sir Barton, and then he came back in that race against Awesome Saturday, and I was disappointed. I know Awesome Saturday had a major tactical advantage, but I thought on the far turn, Watch Me Whip was in a good groove, and it looked like he was just going to roll on by. And he never got with it. He actually lost distance to him down the lane. So I think this is an interesting horse. If he stayed in that 10-12 range, I'd be interested. Now,
if you're questioning the Matt Winn Buyer speed figure earned by Society Beau, 11 points better than anything he had earned in his first 11 starts, then maybe you're questioning Colonel's Dark Temper. He earned a 90 Buyer speed figure in that race. He ran a solid second to the Good McCracken. Now, he had earned an 88 Buyer in his prior start.
And I guess that's the thing. So without going into all the weeds of the Buyers and whatnot, I mean, this horse, at least in his prior start, had run an 88. Awesome Saturday came back to sort of solidify that number with an 86, and it fits in there for Colonel's Dark Temper. So there's a scenario where Society Beau, maybe he did finally just jump up.
I thought this horse would run well in the Matt Winn. I was proud of his performance, but I also think that might be the best he can do. Now, maybe it's good enough in a race like this, but I have a feeling he might need a slight move forward. He's a horse that I would use on the bottom of exotic wagers. Let's take a look at our top selections for this year's Grade 3 Indiana Derby. You're going with the 5 Hollywood Handsome, who's going to get the pace he needs, it appears. The Belmont, that was a rough ride for Flores Giroux.
Yeah, it certainly was. Feel bad for Flo after that one. But the biggest problem was going into the first turn. There was a little bit of pinching going around, and eventually you had Twisted Tom have to come back. Unfortunately, fell in the face of this one, and then Flo lost the irons. I just draw a line through that, obviously. The run 2 back at Churchill, I thought it was a gutsy enough effort. It wasn't brilliant. It wasn't, fantastic, but it was game enough. You look at the 88 Buyer, I think that fits in here pretty darn well. If you get any forward move, he's going to get the pace. I think he is going to be in that 8, 9, 10 to 1 range. I'm going to give him a shot in here.
I'm basically married to Untrapped right now. I thought he would run well in the Ohio Derby, and he sort of just ran his race. 1 mile and an eighth is definitely too far for him. 1 mile and a 16th might very well be too far for him as well. And there's a weird post position stat at Indiana Grand that could be working against him as well. Posts 9 and out from 2015 or 4 for 110 at 1 mile and a 16th distance. Maybe Untrapped's in trouble, but from a fig standpoint, I think he has the tactical speed to work out a trip. He's good enough to be with IRAP. I think if you get the 6 to 1 on Untrapped, that's a fair price. I have a feeling he's going to tick down just a little bit, but on just pure figs, the horse fits. You have a lot of concerns, though.
He's very, very talented. I don't think anyone's denying that. To me, he feels like a slightly lesser version of Practical Joke, where all along he's wanted to go one turn. Maybe he is just good enough to win in this spot, and at 1 mile and 16th, that's as far as I think he could go. I picked him second in here, though, just on class alone.
You're going with Hollywood Handsome, the 5, 8 to 1 on the morning line, 5, 9, 10, and 2. I'll take the 9 Untrapped, 6 to 1 on the morning line, 9, 2, 10, and 8 for me in the Grade 3 Indiana Derby. If you are playing this Indiana Derby card from home, sign up to DRF Bets. You'll have access to a $300 cash bonus, 10% win place takeout all summer long on 10 selected tracks. All you got to do is head over to drf.com/take10. Approximate post time for the Grade 3 Indiana Derby, race number 9 on Saturday, 9:49 Eastern. Best of luck.